Hey friend, welcome to Pursuing Goals God's Way. Have you thought about finally starting that business now that your kids are older? Do you ever stay awake wondering how to mesh your passions into purposeful work? Do you have big, ambitious goals but feel overwhelmed or even unqualified to pursue them? Hey, I'm Gabe. Not too long ago, I longed for the confidence to start an online business. I just wanted to make a difference outside my home bubble using my gifts. But I kept telling myself that I wasn't good enough. I didn't know enough, and I didn't have enough time. Until I realized something huge. My kids need me to be their example, and they need to see me win. And yours do too. In this podcast, you will learn how to clarify your goals, plan with purpose, and ditch your distractions. If you're ready to make an impact and an income, all for the glory of God, then you're in the right place. As an avid runner, I believe life is one massive marathon. It's up to you to run your own race and to finish it well. So lace up those running shoes, pop in your earbuds, and let's do this thing. Hey friend, welcome to Pursuing Goals God's Way. I'm your host, Gabe Cox, and I am thrilled you are hanging out with me today. I want to talk about all things prepping for the week and my favorite way to do it, alongside breaking down a little bit more in depth on how I do it. And I'm hoping that this will give you an understanding of how I set up my week, but also a way for you to look at how you can do the same thing in your own life, in your own business, and really cater it to your needs and the way that you work best. My favorite way to prep for the week is to have a meeting with myself, and I rarely miss it because it sets me up for success from the start. When I miss it, it makes my week a little bit more chaotic, and I never really know exactly what my priorities are or how to get things done as effectively as when I have my meeting. So in my weekly meeting, I pull out a few different things. I pull out my Asana project management system, which is my online task management system that helps me know exactly when to do something and what to do. I pull out my calendar on my phone. The calendar that's on my phone is our family calendar. And so it has every single one of our appointments or activities or whatever it is that we have going on through the week in the calendar phone. Then I pull out my large paper desk planner. And when I say large, I mean actually like those desk calendars that you put on top of your desk and you probably put things on top of it. That is what this calendar looks like, but it's a weekly calendar. And so it has Sunday through Saturday listed. And then there's a little note spot for each day. And I like having the larger calendar because it's so much easier for me to be able to do my time blocking, which I'll get into in a minute. But then the other thing that I pull out is also my meal plan sheet because I try and plan our dinners at the same time with my weekly meeting because my weekly meeting isn't just for business, it's for the whole week, for life, for homeschool, for meal planning, for all of the things. Okay, so here's kind of a walkthrough of what I do when I have all of these things laid out. I use my weekly calendar, so my big desktop paper calendar, and I add any coaching calls, appointments, or kids' activities that I am in charge of to my desk calendar. Now, it's only things that I'm responsible for. This is essentially my personal schedule, it's my work schedule. And so I want to see anything that I need to do, whether it's dropping off a kid somewhere, picking up a kid from somewhere, going to a doctor's appointment, having a coaching call, whatever it is that I have going on, that's all in there. The other thing that I add in there is any fun things that I have planned. So I guess I call running fun. So I put my running in there where I probably will be doing it each day. I have a call with a friend once a week. So I put that in there and then any other things that I can think of. So I like to have all of the appointments and just scheduled activities in there. And then I can block out times for work and see kind of where those times are. The other thing that I can see as well is any place that I could have a little white space. And I think it's really important for us to have some white space so that we can rest and refuel and just have our creativity juices start flowing again and all of the different things and the benefits of taking that time away without noise and whatnot. But I also add in, so I have my work calendar for my clients, and then I time block a couple different chunks of hours a week for podcasting and writing my emails and doing project work like that. So it's really nice because I can just see it all laid out very nicely. And I even have a orange pen that I like to check mark next to each thing once it's done. So I kind of see everything kind of ticked off each time we go through the week and go through the days. So that is my desk calendar. I just prefer it on paper because I really like to see it visually. And I see the whole week, but I really take it one day at a time because we can get so overwhelmed by seeing everything that we have to do. It's so much easier to just take it day by day. The next thing that I do in my meeting with myself is I make sure any timely projects or tasks are inside my project management workflow. And I choose the 1 to 3 priorities I have for my work time that week. So inside of Asana, you can have different projects, and then inside those projects, you can have different tasks. And I have one project that's called Internal Day to Day, and that's where I put anything that's a daily task or a weekly task or a monthly task. But a couple of my weekly ones are my blocked times. I have 3 different blocked times. One is for podcast creation, and that's on Monday nights when I'm at parkour with my 2 younger boys, and I have 2 hours there, and I can get a lot done in those 2 hours while they're having fun and I'm just sitting there watching. And then on Wednesdays, I do my marketing planning, I guess I would call it. And I write my email for the week or do any collaborations that I'm doing, things like that. That's in that chunk of time. And then I have another 2 hour chunk of time that is for more admin. So tasks that I need to get done that I just need to sit down to do. And so, kind of like the making sure my inbox is at 0 at the end of the week or making sure the bank stuff is all taken care of and those kinds of things. So I add those chunks into my weekly calendar, but then I also now add those tasks into my project management workflow. So I have one task specific for each of those time chunks. And then I have a workflow inside there of the different things I do in that chunk every time. And then underneath that, some different projects that I'm working on so that if I have extra time, I can start working on those. So hopefully that makes sense. I might have to actually do an episode on Asana itself or creating a project management system for yourself because I think that's such a great way to stay organized. And I love that I can have tasks recurring. So my Monday podcasting task recurs every Monday. So I check it off when I'm done, but then it's going to pop back up for the next Monday. And I just think that's a really great way to not forget things. The third thing I do is I check the phone calendar because, like I mentioned in the beginning, the phone calendar has everybody's activities on it. And so my husband and I meet for a short time and make sure that we're on the same page for who is doing what our week looks like. If there's anything that we missed that we need to put on the calendar, that calendar I don't look at it for when I'm working because it stresses me out that there's so much on there, but I look at it to know where everyone needs to be at any given time. And that's why I like having that paper calendar where I put the things I'm responsible for because then I know, okay, I'm supposed to pick this kid up at this time and I don't have to do it later because my husband's doing it, but I don't put that in that paper calendar. So everything goes in that phone calendar. My husband and I make sure we're on the same page for what's going on. And then the fourth and final thing that I do is I decide on what meals I can prepare for dinner. I usually plan 3 to 4 dinners with enough for leftovers. So I will double the recipe or sometimes triple it because sometimes I'll freeze half of it or more of it for another time. So I don't have to make it another time, especially when they're kind of something that's easy to make in bulk. And I do that this way because I just don't have time to make a dinner every night. And I don't want to because it's not my favorite thing to do. Being in the kitchen is definitely on the lower parts of my housekeeping, a bit of home management. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's not my favorite thing. I don't want to be in the kitchen more than I have to. And so that's why I do 3 to 4 dinners. Plus, we're in and out all day long. And a lot of the nights we have activities. So it's really hard to kind of have a solid dinner time. But I do want to make sure that my family has healthy choices and has good dinners. And so this really helps me. And then what I do too is I add those meals to the top of my desk calendar so I can see the days that I am in the kitchen and what I am planning on making. And then from there, I create the grocery list, and then either I or my husband or both of us go get what we need for the week. This workflow has been a game changer for me to not feel like I'm in a hurry all the time, to know what I'm doing when, and to create a work life balance that I can stick to. Like I said in the beginning, if I miss it for the week, my week feels quite a bit more frazzled and more out of control. And I just really like having it set and being able to look at it, and obviously with flexibility, but having it all out there on the paper calendar has been such a huge deal for me. Now, I know if you've been following along on the podcast lately, we are in the middle of a slow series where we're reading The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And really, this book kind of correlates with my plan, my workflow, because this workflow helps me to be able to slow down and not be scatterbrained. And so it's kind of fitting nicely into this slow series that we're working through on Thursdays together. So, what's the biggest takeaway for today? What do I want you to get from this? Outside of some ideas for building your own weekly meeting with yourself, is to actually set a meeting time for yourself, whether it's on Friday before the weekend or Sunday evening or whenever else you want to do it, so that you can organize your next week and create a good workflow for yourself. And make sure that you show up for that meeting each week. I promise you, this is going to be a game changer for you as well. And you will see that you'll be able to get even more done in the time that you have, because you will be so much more organized and you'll know what those priorities are. So set a weekly meeting for yourself. You'll be glad you did. In all things I pray, you just run your race. I believe in you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time and I hope you did too. Before we go though, make sure you follow the podcast on your favorite listening platform if you haven't already. If you resonate with this episode, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or share it with a friend, as this helps grow the podcast. Also, if you're not a part of Simplicity and Motherhood, consider joining us. It's a free online community built to provide support and encouragement so you can create balance and live intentionally as you go after your biggest goals, God's way. Head on over to redhotmindset.com for more resources and to find the link to join the community. In all things I pray, you just run your race. I believe in you.